Dr. YaYa.
Hey, what's going on, fam? Glad you could join me tonight. You already know what it is. It's me. It's your good girlfriend. It's your good Judy. It's your auntie. It's all of that good stuff. Anybody I need to be, uh, wherever you get your sound wisdom from, because you know I am giving you 30 minutes of practical wisdom and common sense. It's what I do. Good to see you, Money. Glad you could join me. So tonight is very interesting. It's a very interesting night. Wonderful night. I'm loving it. I'm sure that you're well because I affirm. You already know what I affirm, but I'm going to say it anyway. Hey, how you doing, Vet? It's good to see you. I affirm that every lesson you needed to learn today, that you learned it, and every bit of inspiration that you needed to motivate you and encourage you, that you received it. I just affirm that in your life today because I believe it to be so. So tonight, you guys, as you saw with the title, I'm going to be answering some emails about fetishes. Yes, that's right, fetishes. I'm grateful that people who go to www.asdryaya.com feel so comfortable, and this is a safe space. This is a no judgment zone, right? That they want to discuss some really deep conversational type stuff. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to what the emails have to say so we can really dig right into it and get things going. I want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe, especially on my YouTube channel. I certainly appreciate it. And yeah, I'm excited. I think we ought to just get right into it. I think we ought to see what the people have to say. And like I always say, because we are critical thinkers over here and because I desire everybody be on the same page, you already know what that means. That means that I have to give you the definition of fetish. Now, understand, doesn't mean that you don't know it. It just means for everybody else who may be listening later on that they have a clear understanding that this is what we are discussing. All right. Now, fetish is a form of sexual desire in which gratification is linked to an abnormal degree to a particular object, item of clothing, or part of the body, etc. Right? So that's what a fetish is. And I would say that the majority of people, they have a fetish. You know, you listen, it's a certain thing that you like sexually and everything like that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a fetish because they are common. Fetish fantasies are common, but the way that the fetish is the way that it allows you to function in your life. The only way that a fetish should be treated as a disorder is when it impairs your normal functioning or causes you distress. Okay? Like if your fetish for your neighbor's ankles, right, got you stalking, then you have a problem and you need to get help. But if you just have a regular fetish for ankles, then we get it. We understand. Get you a few ankle picks or whatever you need to do. That's great. That's fine. It's perfectly safe. But if your fetish is causing you to have some type of crazy distress and some crazy functions that are not normal to your living, then we have to deal with that. We have to deal with that. So let's get right into it. Raquel. All right, you guys. So here we go. Dr. YaYa. My boyfriend has a very strange fetish that he did not reveal until we were dating for 6 months. He wants me to take an ice bath before we have sex. and can't seem to get an erection if my body is not cold. Is that normal? Well, let me just say this. Let me say this. Now, that is quite the fetish. I think I will be tired too. I'll be like, look, every time I'm not getting in the ice bath, I'm not doing this every time we have to have sex. But apparently he can't do it any other way because his peen won't get hard. But listen, cold showers actually have been known, and ice baths have been known to up your sex drive. Believe it or not, it has been known to do that. They also say that cold showers and ice baths make you more attractive. Now, I'm not saying that you're ugly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know what these things do. Okay. So I'm not saying that he's telling you to take an ice bath and his peen won't get hard because you're unattractive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this is what coldness does, or cold water would do. It will up your libido. Your libido would be higher when it comes to cold showers and ice baths. And then for him, it could just be because, remember, we develop our type of sexual preferences and our sexual fetishes when we become pubescent, right? When you're in the puberty. So for him, something could have happened and he just said, you know what, I just love a cold body. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But I would say that the reason why you're struggling with it, not only because you have to take these ice baths, is because you're not used to it. And so I certainly understand that, because if our fetish is not like someone else's fetish, right? How you doing, Chris? It's good to see you. If our fetish is not like somebody else's fetish, then we have a tendency to judge that particular fetish, especially if it sounds way out there. So I would say, while you may not think that it is normal, there are a lot of people who desire for the temperature of their partner to to be low. I will put it like that. I'll put it like that. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to go as far as to say that the guy's into necrophilia and he wants your body half dead. That's not what I'm going to say. But I'm just, I will say that this is not anything that you're used to, and, have the discussion. I don't think it's going to change anything, but have the discussion and then tell him how you feel. Like, man, hey, I just can we do the cold shower instead of the instead of the ice bath? Think of some alternatives, because that ice, man, I couldn't keep doing that. I'd have to break up with him. Now, I'm not telling you to break up with the guy, but I just, that would kind of bother me. Yeah, that I would have some issues with that. I would have some issues with that. All righty, the next question. Dr. YaYa, what is the most common sexual fetish? That would be the foot fetish. The foot fetish is the most common sexual fetish out there. That's the most common one. How you doing, Jamie Monroe? It's good to see you. So that would be the most common fetish. The most common fetish is the foot fetish. And I mean, a lot of men like to see women's feet. They like for women to have toe rings and nail polish and all these other things on their feet, because they find it to be arousing. They find it to be, something that gets them excited about things. And believe it or not, listen to this, a little known fact, that during the Victorian era, and even now in certain Middle Eastern countries, the majority of men have a foot, shoe, and boot fetish. And that comes from the fact that they don't see the women, right? they don't see the full body, the full form of the woman, and that's pretty much all they see. And so they kind of develop that because, I have to attach my arousal to something. So that's quite interesting. But yes, that is um that is the most common, being a foot fetish. So yeah, that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. Okay. So the next, and I think this one is going to be pretty long. This next one, because apparently um people have, yeah, money. That is quite interesting. Because people have this thing. Okay. All right. So the next question is this one. Dr. YaYa. No, this one is not going to be long, y'all. Trust me. Would you date someone who did not have a fetish that you were interested in? What? How you doing, Soup Bone? Good to see you. Would I date someone that had a fetish that I wasn't interested in? Well, you know what? I probably have. I mean, because a lot of people don't really reveal their fetishes, right? They really don't. They don't reveal them for fear of being judged or rejected or something like that. So there are a lot of people walking around with certain fetishes that they absolutely don't reveal. And this is another interesting point, that it's the majority of men who actually have a fetish. And I believe that's because men are visual creatures, right? Got all this creativity going on and things like that. But it's the majority of men who have fetishes. And I can understand why a person wouldn't reveal certain fetishes to someone else, because it's already a tough time getting to know someone and dealing with them on a certain level. And then I bring in the fact that, hey, I like to pinch you on your butt, whatever it may be. I'm just saying. And that can be difficult, because the person is, what? That's strange. And then, oh, here we go. I don't even know what to say anymore, because something that I like, something that arouses me, something that turns me on, I'm now being judged for that. I'm now being judged for that. So it's I understand that people need a safe space to discuss the fact that they're aroused by certain things. It's I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but there are men who call themselves feeders. And if you don't know what a feeder is a man who likes to feed his woman an exorbitant amount of food in order for her to gain weight. It's not the fact that he likes the fact that she's a big woman. It's the fact that he just likes to feed her. So they call themselves feeders. Dr. YaYa, what fetishes do women have? Well, Monetary, this is really not about men or women having different types of fetishes, because women can also have a foot fetish. Women can have uh, a fetish as it pertains to how they're treated in bed. But I will say this, the main fetish that most women have, and okay, ladies, I know y'all don't, y'all going y'all might get upset about this, but I'm gonna tell it. That it's called erotic humiliation. Erotic humiliation. Anytime a woman says, I want you to call me a bee in bed. Okay. Now understand that erotic humiliation exists on a spectrum, right? So it can go from being called a slut to a bitch to whatever it may be. But the majority of women like that. They'll say things like, oh, you can call me a bitch only when we're having sex, but not when we're having sex. That's still erotic humiliation. That's still a fetish. That is still a fetish that people have. yes, a lot of women do have those type of fantasies. I can't say the word on YouTube because they would like to censor things, but a lot of women do have the fantasy of a man coming in and taking what they want. That is a fantasy and it is a fetish. There are some women who cannot be excited and cannot really be aroused unless a t-shirt is ripped, or unless, you know, being tied down or whatever. Oh no, money, you good, you good. I think most people get the gist of it, but that kind of fantasy is real, and that's what people have. And again, it goes back to being judged for the fantasies that we have. It goes back to, oh my goodness, I don't want to reveal this because it's going to sound crazy. Believe me, do you think R. Kelly wanted everybody to know that he liked piss? Do you? I don't think that's something that, especially in his position, nobody wants to, golden showers and piss play, and it's not just, and this is the thing, it's not just the fact that a person likes golden showers or likes to be the one to give the golden shower. It is the fact that it involves everything as pertains to urine. Everything. Watching it being poured on someone's body, watching it being placed in a glass. It's just a mere fact that it is that, right? It can be clothes wetting, or making someone hold in their urine, hold in their pee until they really have to go and they can't help but to go on themselves. So that involves a lot of things. Do you think he wants the world to know, I like piss? I like just peeing on folk? No, because that's humiliation. You don't really feel good about that. And like Chris said earlier, he likes breasts. That's his fetish. He likes breasts. And that's okay, because most people would say, well, that's a part of a reproductive organ. It's okay in our minds to have a breast fetish. And that's good. To have a leg fetish, to have an ass fetish is okay. But if a man came up and said, you know what? I like a woman's hands, right? They're like, what, her hands? Why? Because that does not connect with what you think a normal sexual fetish should be, right? That, you don't connect that with that. But if that is the thing that gets them to a place, then that is the thing. And like I stated earlier, it only becomes a problem when it stops you from living your life, when it causes you distress, when it causes other people distress. Then there's a problem. Then there's a problem. But if it's not that, then again, it's normal to have these types of fantasies. It's normal to have these types of fetishes. And as long as they're not illegal, right? When we were talking about dealing with children or whatever, so there are a lot of things that arouse people. Pubic hair, that's called pubophilia. It arouses people. I know men who say, oh man, I just want her to have pubic hair. I want her to have a bush. I need her to have hair on her coochie. I am excited by that. That's a fetish. That is a fetish. Okay? That's a fetish. So in this place, it's just a matter of saying, and all of these have names, like pygophilia is an arousal to the buttocks. When you hear a man say, man, I'm an ass man. That's what it is. These do have terms, but we just use them in a layman's way where everybody understands where we are. But these have terms to them. So here we have people who say, listen, is this thing normal? Okay. I bet people don't even know what nasolingus is, right? Nasolingus is someone who's aroused by sucking on a person's nose. I mean, just all of these things. Again, they may be strange to us, but these people have them. Right? Money says he has a woman's shape fetish. You know, she just has to have a certain shape, huh? Just that woman, I got this, right? So there are a lot of fetishes out there that people really don't discuss because I think it's to the point of embarrassment. I think it's to the point of embarrassment, and we don't like to discuss it because we don't like to feel vulnerable. We don't like to feel vulnerable. So this is the next question. Dr. YaYa, when do I tell someone that I'm interested in about my strange and unusual fetish? That's a very good question. I would say, I mean, when you say strange and unusual, I understand not something that's so common like a foot fetish, but breasts, things like that. How long do you wait? I'm going to say, because you don't have the conversation right away, right? But I'm going to say have the conversation at least within 3 months. Yeah, that's a very good question. I would say have the conversation. If you're still seeing someone, if you're seeing that person, I would say have the conversation at least within 3 months. Because I'm sure you discussed everything else. People like to discuss how big a peen is, how wet a coochie is, what's your breast size, and all of these other things. But if you have an unusual fetish, I think you ought to throw that in there too. And if you have a feeling of feeling vulnerable, you can probably word it like, well, what do you think about certain fetishes? What do you like in bed and things like that? And if your fetish is, say giving people golden showers, and the person says, well, I don't want anybody to pee on me, then you already know. Then I'm just saying, then you already know I better not bring that up because it's a no-go. But I absolutely think that you should share whatever type of fetish that you like with someone, like I said, maybe within the first 90 days. And it's interesting because people don't do it. And then later on, when a person springs it on them, they say things like, oh, you never did that before. Who taught you that? And so they have a habit of thinking that they got it from someplace else, so they must be cheating. And that's not the case. That's not always the case. It could be, I've always wanted to do this, so I just decided to do it. That's why I think the discussion is very important. You have to have the discussion because, you do something different, then, well, that's new. People's mind will start to go. That's why I think communication is always key. Communication is always key, especially when it comes to what you desire in bed, what arouses you, what gets you excited, the thing that you let down your guard in, that you say, man, I'm comfortable with you enough to say, ooh, I really like that. I really like that. And I think in most cases, it's quite difficult for men to do that. Now I understand that it's also, it can be a little difficult for women, but I don't think women are judged for their fetishes as harshly as men are. I don't think that they are. I don't think they are judged as harshly as men are, because we have this perception that men have to be a certain way and do a certain thing when it comes to our perception of how he should be in bed. Right? So I think it's difficult for men in most cases to say, I have this type of fetish and I want to see if you want to participate in that type of fetish. Right? Now let's consider voyeurism for a minute. Now we understand voyeurism is getting sexual excitement from watching others when they are naked or engaged in sexual acts. Now, if a man says he's a voyeur, some women would say, oh, that's creepy. He's a creep. But you get a woman that says she's a voyeur, and the first thing that pops up, oh, that's sexy. You see what I'm saying? I mean, a woman desiring to watch other people naked or watch them have sex is sexy. But a man says it, and oh, that you're a creep, you're a pervert. That's what they get. It's the same fetish. I mean, the fetish is the same. It doesn't change based on gender, but our perceptions change based upon the gender. Our perceptions change, right? It's the same thing with the with the taking it fantasy. If a woman says, "Ooh, I love when he comes in and takes it, pins me down, holds me down." We know what that's called. If he comes in and takes it, I think that's so sexy. They're like, "Oh, wow, that's lovely, that's great." But if a man says, I just love the act of me coming in and taking it from my wife or my significant other, then he's a problem and he's part of a rape culture. Oh, I said it. There it is. He's a part of that type of culture, right? So the perceptions are different, although the fetishes are the same. See? So that's why I say men are more likely to be judged based on that type of revealing, what their fetishes may be and what their fetishes are. Yes, money. You're right. It's like watching porn. It's like like watching porn. When men say they watch porn, then that's a problem. But women watch porn. Oh, that's sensual. That's sexy. Oh, I'm getting so excited. But men do it. They're perverted. They're no good. They so and that's how they're judged upon that, right? So when men have this fantasy type thing, well, but money, I said men say I'm going to take it because I couldn't use that word, but then the word slipped. Okay. Then the word slipped out, so it is what it is. Okay, YouTube, do your thing. So because we're grown over here, but yeah, so it happens. So I think the majority of men will get judged for having the fetish more so than the woman having the same type of fetish. And that's a problem. That is a problem. And, we don't always see it as a problem, but it's a problem. That's a very big problem. And getting back to what you said, money, about the same thing with watching porn, where in a woman, oh, it's sexy and she's open. With a man, he's perverted and he's got these unrealistic expectations of what women should look like and what they should do in bed. But wait a minute, the same woman is watching the same video. So what's the problem? It's only a problem when it comes to men. And I think that's a problem. If you have a fetish, and again, it is normal to have a fetish. If you have a fetish that you indulge in that makes you feel good and it can make your partner feel good, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you are two consenting, consensual adults, period. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Feel comfortable with what you do with your partner and just go from there. Right? Just go from there. You guys know what it is. That has been 30 minutes of practical wisdom and common sense. I thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And remember, you are loved, you are valued, and you are appreciated. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye now.